You are about to listen to a love letter to the air fryer and how it can make all your favorite proteins and turn them into something amazing. But I'm not alone in reading this love letter today. Christine Pittman from Cook the Story and the Recipe of the Day podcast is here to share her favorite air fryer recipes. If your air fryer has been collecting dust in the corner of your kitchen, it won't anymore after you listen to this episode.
You're listening to Eat, Shop, Waste Not. Let us teach you how to source the most delicious groceries without wasting food or a single penny. Here's your host, Eric Sanderson.
Before we begin today's episode, I want to take a moment to share about my favorite spice company, Burlap and Barrel Single Origin Spices. You'll truly eat like no one else when you use their spices in your cooking. My sister-in-law was visiting us back in October. We made this French onion butterbean soup, which was so delicious, so decadent. But when she got back home and tried to make that same soup herself, it wasn't quite as good. She couldn't put her finger on it at first. But then I hit her that we had used this dry thyme I got from Burlap and Barrel that we had, but she didn't have. So it just shows how much flavor you can get from a truly good quality spice company. Right now, if you order from their website and use my promo code, Eat Like No One, you'll get a free Robusta black peppercorn grinder when you add it to your cart with any additional $15 purchase. Now let's roll with today's episode. All right, everybody. I'm excited to have Christine on my podcast today. She runs the wonderful website, Cook the Story. And she also has a podcast, Recipe of the Day. So welcome to my podcast.
Eric, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to talk with you today.
So first, I just want you to introduce yourself a little more and tell us about your podcast and your blog.
Yeah, so my blog is cookthestory.com, which I started back in 2009. So it has been around for a while and really started as, I moved from Canada to the United States with my, now ex-husband for his job, and was home with kids and just needed like a creative outlet. So it was a place to share recipes with people back home and became just a huge passion and eventually became, my full-time career. And then I started the second website that I have, thecookful.com. And that one is contributor based. I have like cookbook authors and chefs on, and they dive into different topics. And so that's really fun and like deeper dives into things. Right now, we're doing a lot of seasoning blends right now. We had a series on Jewish foods recently by Emily Pastor. So that kind of thing. And then, the podcast, Recipe of the Day. It's a daily, 7-day-a-week podcast where I'm really hoping to reduce people's decision-making process. What should I make for dinner tonight? What should I take to that potluck? Oh, the Super Bowl is coming up or Memorial Day is coming up. What should I make? So every day I'm choosing just the right recipe, tell you how to make it, and hoping to solve that little pain point for people. Because I know sometimes the decision making is the hardest part of like meal planning or cooking, right? What are we going to have? So that's what I'm hoping to do there.
Oh yeah, definitely think that's what people get stuck up on a lot. I've started doing a meal planning Substack newsletter that I send out once a week, and that's giving different tips for kind of showcasing what we're making. Because it easy get to the most common things people say, like, I'm tired of making the same thing. I make the same thing every week, I make the same thing. So they need some inspiration, need some kind of different ideas to kind of point them in a direction, because we all get in those kind of ruts sometimes where it's with that. Or we forget about some of our favorite recipes. Like, oh man, I used to love making pot roast, and now I don't make pot roast anymore. Maybe I should make a pot roast again. Those type of things. It's good.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I also find I've actually been getting this feedback from people who listen regularly that sometimes their reaction is almost like the opposite of what I'm talking about, right? Like I'll be like, I'm talking about, say, chicken cordon bleu, quick chicken cordon bleu recipe or something, and they'll be like, no, we had chicken yesterday, but You know what? We haven't had ham steaks lately because I mentioned ham in there. So it's like they're kind of like
Yeah,
it's just like a contrast jumping off point, or like, oh no, we don't eat that, but oh, that makes me think of this other thing.
sure.
And just hearing different ideas can inspire you, and just, you're driving home from work. What am I going to stop and get at the grocery store? Ah, yeah, now I know. We're good to go, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And I love what you're doing. So you guys should, after you're done listening to this episode, go check out her podcast and you do a little podcast binging session.
Yeah, well, there's almost 1,000 episodes now. So we're
That
at
is a lot. Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
don't yeah, I don't know when this is going live, but we'll be hitting I just recorded number 961, and so we'll be hitting 1,000 this summer, by the summer for sure, because it's every day. So I guess in like 40 days.
Yes. Great. All right. So today we're going to talk about air fryers, and we're going to talk about air frying proteins,
Mhm.
as as part of our meal plans, and why we should kind of incorporate those, and we'll kind of go into some of your favorite recipes, and yeah, look for some different ways we can possibly save money and reduce food waste. I have some ideas on how to reduce food waste by using your air fryer. So first off, I want to ask you, um, why air fryer proteins?
So first I'll just say I am not a gadget girl. Like I am like, why do I need more things in my house? I think it's Alton Brown. Somebody says like no single use gadgets. Like I'm like
Yes, no
very like,
unitaskers.
yeah, no unitaskers there. Like, but I'm like even beyond that. Like, so like when I first got an Instant Pot, I know we're not talking about Instant Pots, but I'm just gonna say when I first got my
Yeah,
Instant Pot, it was just because it was in the industry and I'm in this industry, you're in this industry. And then it sat in my front doorway, like inside the house for like 3 months because I'm like, I don't want to learn this new thing. And then I learned it and I liked it. And then the air fryer came and same thing. It sat there for like, I don't know, a month anyways. And I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And I loved it so much that I bought one for my mom. I bought one for my boyfriend. I have one. I actually now I have three. Like it's just such a handy tool that makes food taste better than any other technique, especially in a hands-off way. Like it tastes like, I think about, okay, you're asking about proteins in particular. If you pan fry like or sear a protein, you get much better browning, caramelization faster in that stovetop pan than you do like in an oven, right? The
Mhm.
oven's hands off, but you need to stand at your stovetop to get that browning. The air fryer is as hands off as the oven, but you get that like hands on stovetop kind of caramelization going on. And so I think that, like, that I can put something in there, set a timer, and walk away and come back and it's perfect is just the most brilliant thing to me.
It is. It is. And I think one thing people have kind of gotten a misconception about, how the air fryer is like this kind of a new thing. It really, in reality, it's just a convection oven. It's
Yes,
just a
it's like,
convection oven with a drawer.
yeah, it's a toaster oven that
Yeah.
actually cooks things properly. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. That's even better, probably.
yeah, that's what
Yeah,
it is.
so it's not like a newfangled, like just like here's a different way to put that, and so it does allow the same kind of functions in that, but because it's in a smaller space, it's able to accomplish things like an oven wouldn't be able to
Oh yeah.
accomplish.
I remember when they first came out on the market, I had two different friends who were obsessed with theirs and they kept telling me about them. And I kept saying in my head or out loud, I'm not sure if I actually said this to them, but like, I don't crave or eat a lot of fried food. So I didn't need this like healthier air fried version. Like I'm fine without the fried foods. And then it was really somebody that I was working for actually, who was here one day and she was talking about cooking salmon in the air fryer. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait. It's not just for like egg rolls and chicken wings and french fries. You cook salmon in there. And that's like where it just lit up for me. Like this
Yeah,
is just an oven that works very, very efficiently and cooks things very nicely.
yeah, couldn't say it better. I think that's really exactly what it is. So, what type of air fryer do you currently have?
So I have three of them right now. And that's mostly, I mean, I got them because I had my one for the longest time. It's a Secura 5 quart, but it's been discontinued. Well, There were some problems with some of them, so some of them were like recalled, but it
Yeah.
looks to me like they've just been discontinued entirely now. Like you can't find them. So that one, mine wasn't like recalled, but people can't buy it, so I can't recommend it to people anymore, and I can't like. I
Yeah.
don't feel it's good testing recipes in it if it's not something that you can actually go and get yourself.
Yeah.
So I got the other two to just make sure that what I was doing in the other one was the same. And it turns out they are the same pretty well. Mine all behave the same way. So I have the Secure 5-quart, I have a Kasori 6-quart, and I have a Ninja Max XL 5.5-quart. And they're all just the basic air fryers. I don't have
Mhm.
any of the like instant pot with air fryer
Lid
lid
thing,
or
yeah.
like any Max foodie things. They're just air fryers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to testing those things out. So I have a friend who had a different style air fryer, and I was at their house cooking something, with them, and we were putting some cauliflower in there. And this was a bigger style air fryer. And
Mm.
it did such a worse job than mine did. It was so uneven. It was one that had like different like trays. So it was
Right.
almost really like the stereo convection oven, but calling it air fryer sort of. So it did work. It did accomplish that purpose because the space was just simply too big. You wanted, yeah, you could do more. So what we eventually went to is I have a Ninja one now that has the dual drawers. So,
Okay.
so I have two different drawers. I can do two different temperatures, two different times, or I can match them together. And that's really helped out for us because I have four kids. So we need to have the space. So, like when we were in our camper, having just a small little air fryer was like, okay, you're gonna eat. Okay. The first people you're gonna eat dinner at 6. The parents are gonna eat at 7 o'clock. Just like time lapse here. We figured we could actually fit the air fryer, a bigger one, into our camper space. They had the dual drawers, so we could, if we want to do a double batch of something here, we could do that and still get the crispiness on both sides because we have more. We've increased our capacity, but
Mhm.
we didn't actually make the space is still the same size. So it kind of accomplished what that big one didn't accomplish by being
Mhm.
bigger. So that's what we've been using, and it's been great.
And do you find like when you find recipes online or in cookbooks for other air
Mhm.
fryers, is the timing and temperature comparable in that one?
Yes, yeah,
Oh, lovely. I
definitely
love
comparable.
hearing that.
Yes, definitely comparable. It definitely been working out well. We once got I had someone send me a microwave air fry combo, and
Oh.
that did not work for air fry. Like it was a great microwave, it was a crappy air fryer. It just like I did a comparison where I was using that and whatever one I had the first, I think it was like a Power XL, like it was the first one I ever had, and I
Mhm.
did both of them at the same time, and the microwave one, like it took like so much longer.
I almost
It was
feel
didn't work.
I don't wanna ever be telling people to, like, spend more money, but I feel like anybody who's ever said to me that they had an air fryer and didn't like it, I want to be like, "Okay, buy a different one," because once you have one that's, like, actually
Yeah.
good, like, it's so amazing. I'm like, "I don't believe that you didn't like your air fryer. It must have been the
Yes.
air fryer." Because, yeah, they're so remarkable. I love them.
Yeah. I think that's true with a lot of things too with different um types of we say this thing with food all the time. It's like, well, that's why I like to talk about like different varieties of foods and stuff, because maybe you're like, oh, I don't like fish, but all you've ever eaten is salmon. I'm like, well, maybe you don't like salmon. So
Mhm,
I think
for sure. Yep.
it's got to be that smaller space. Is I think that's the key. Is you got to have a small. It needs to be big enough to fit what you need to do it, but also not too big that it doesn't do the job. So
Yeah, because the whole point is that it's heating up really quickly and that
yep.
heat is very intense. And I think staying hot because it's small and it's
Hmm.
got that fan and heater going, it's containing that heat. Even when you open it and close it again, like you open and test it, you close it back up and it's way hot back in there again right away. If it's big
Yes.
and you're opening the door, like your oven,
Yeah.
my oven, I've got it on for something, say it's at like 350. I open it to take something out, flip something around, close it back up. I actually hit cancel and reset it to 350 because it doesn't even always like and then it'll show
Reset
me it's at like
itself.
250 for a while as it like is heating back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So smaller is better when it comes to air fryers, I guess. Or like mine are all the 5 to 6 quart range, and I really
Yeah.
like that
Yeah. I
size.
think you have like the sweet spot for that for sure.
Yeah.
Try to really, if you want something bigger, then I think you're better off doing what I have and have like
Yes.
a double situation if you can spring for that here. The more money, of course. I mean, I got a great one during Christmas time, so I was able to get
Mm.
a good deal on it. So
Yeah, well, if I get a fourth one, I'm gonna look into
it
that because that seems like it would be a
is,
great use of
and
space.
it is nice to be able to do two different things at once. So like
Mhm.
I could do a vegetable on one side and I can do a protein on the other side and have
Nice.
a better meal at once, a more fuller
Mhm,
meal. That
mhm.
so yeah. So I wanted to for you to share with us now some of your favorite air fryer recipes that people can find on your site.
Okay, so this is just gonna sound like the simplest silly thing, but air fryer sausages, just air fryer sausages, Italian sausages, brats, whatever it is. So I mean the uncooked, like fresh sausages, not like a kielbasa or something, although that's great in the air fryer too. But
Yeah,
like normally when you're cooking sausages, like in the stove, they like roll around and kind of brown unevenly, and maybe you get browning on like two sides, and like it's just not ideal. When you do them in the air fryer, it's like 10, I do like 10 minutes at 400. Sometimes I open it and like move them around halfway through. Sometimes I don't. And they are just evenly brown on the outside, crispy skin, fully cooked to the middle. And at least in my air fryers, they sit in the basket, and then there's like a thing that the basket is in. All the fat drops down into that lower thing. So they're not
yep,
like sitting in that fat, you know? And
yes,
they just turn out perfect. I mean, I do ground beef in the air fryer. Not like the like if I'm doing something like spaghetti, a quick spaghetti dinner where I don't really care that the ground beef is like perfectly same size and browned exactly right. I put that in there, and I do a little bit of like a cooking spray or olive oil
mhm,
on top just so it doesn't dry out from that fan, even though the beef does have some fat content.
yeah,
Um, and same thing, it browns nicely on top, and all of the fat drips down underneath. So it's not sitting in there, and it's just I'm like blown away by it every time. I'm like patting myself on the back because it's so
yeah.
smart, you know?
You
Yeah, air
should
fryer
definitely.
ground beef, air fryer sausages, and like I said earlier, like hands off. They go in there, and then I'm working on the other parts of dinner, and I'm not even thinking about them until the timer beeps, you know?
That's smart. Yeah, I think I've done ground. Yeah, I've done ground stuff in there too. Like ground chicken. I did ground chicken in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think like you said sausages work really well. We've done this like the simple like throw some hot dogs in there because you kind of get
Yes.
the idea instead of it's like you get kind of like that grilled type situation almost. You more a grilled hot dog than a boiled. I mean, I mean, who wants a boiled hot dog anyway? Really, unless you
I
get one of
know.
those like hot. I guess you get one of those hot dogs that's been like that you get like out of a cart somewhere where it's been sitting in
Mhm.
that water that who knows what's in there, but some kind of magic's in there. But like something like that's different, like a hot dog cart type
Yeah.
situation. But like just like throwing in a like who wants to do that? No one.
No, well, you know what? You've read my mind. This is actually not on my site yet, but I'm in the process. I did the first test this past week.
Yeah.
Air fryer hot dogs, where I'm doing the wieners in there to get the browning. I'm splitting them open first, getting the
Yes.
browning, then I'm adding cheese, and I'm popping the buns underneath the wieners, and the
There
buns
you
are
go.
getting toasted and the cheese is melted, and they fit exactly, mine fits like 4 exactly in there.
Oh, cool.
So, like toasted buns, wieners with cheese on them, sprinkle a little onion or something on top, mustard, like it's perfect. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with it.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that idea. Yeah, I just tried doing burgers. So just taking like the frozen burger patties you get at Costco and just kind of
Mhm,
testing
mhm,
those out and see how those did in the air fryer. And that worked really well. It was brown them up pretty well as getting the fat was down there and it was more of the hands-off thing and not splattering oil in my kitchen too. That's the other thing when you're doing it in like a pan or something,
mhm,
you're gonna splattering oil. So I think that worked really well. The thing I had to troubleshoot at first is the first time, because part with it, I want to put the cheese out at the very beginning because you don't want to just burn like you're doing too. You don't want to just burn the cheese.
mhm.
But then the first time I put the cheese in there and then put it right in, the air fryer starts up with this air and then blew the cheese all over the place. So then I end
Oh,
up having like cheese
yeah.
like in the tray and down here. So then I discovered, okay, what if we put the cheese on, put the patties back into the air fryer, let it sit for a minute, with the air
Mhm.
fryer turned off so that the heat's still in. And like I said, keeps warmer quicker than the oven does. So it starts to melt the cheese just enough to adhere to the burger, so it doesn't fly all over the place. I learned that the hard way the first time, and once I
Yeah,
did
no,
that technique, it worked great.
I had the first time that I tried to do quesadillas in the air fryer, the top flour tortilla was like it ended up like flying around and then like stuck wedged in like the
Yeah.
corner and kind of burnt in one place. And I've discovered I end up doing either the lid from a metal pot just for the like, as you were saying, you just have to get things kind of, like, warm, melted, holding
Yeah.
together. So something or I'll use, like a butter knife, like a knife, a metal knife, and put that on top to weigh it down. You just have to remember that it's gonna be crazy hot, and you need, like, tongs or an oven mitt to take it off after, but something to weight it down. Your tip, that is brilliant, like, letting it start to melt first,
Yeah.
and then kinda, like, pushing it down or something, and then it's gonna not fly around because those
Yeah.
fans in there, that's the whole point. It's
Yeah.
a
And that's
high-powered fan.
yeah. And oftentimes I'll do like, I'll shred the cheese for burgers and put it on instead of cutting it just because it melts more evenly that way if you have it. But with the air fryer, I thought originally, okay, well, if I have a pile on there, it's going to blow around. But I didn't even realize that even like the slices were also going to blow around. So then
Yeah.
that's why I realized, okay, let's melt it just enough so that it won't blow around. So and then it worked. Then it looks perfectly fine now.
Mhm,
Now I have a
mhm.
great photo of it. It looks great.
Nice. Yeah.
That worked.
I'm gonna say I was telling you my favorite proteins. One of my favorite things to do in the air fryer is also salmon fillets
Mhm.
with the skin on, and I cook them skin side up, and then the skin starts to crisp. But if like I like my salmon not rare, but like not fully cooked. So
Yeah.
what I actually do is when the salmon is where I like it, I take all the salmon out and then I peel the skin off. It comes off really easily and put it back in the air fryer. And what made me think of this is the skin, those pieces of skin will fly around. I stick that little, like a little metal rack that comes with some air fryers. I
Yeah.
stick it like on top of those pieces of salmon skin and they go back in until they're crispy and put them back on top of the salmon. And it's like a piece of salmon bacon on top of each of your salmon portions.
Oh, that's nice.
Amazing.
Oh, that is so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the best thing I've done so far is a turkey breast where
Oh,
I did a I did a dry brine first. So 2 days I did a dry brine on the turkey and then
love it.
put that in there. And then I was able to actually fit like my probe thermometer into the air fryer so I could track the temperature of the turkey. So I could pull it
Oh.
at the perfect time. It was a little tricky. I have a couple of cheap probes, so I had to get in the right spot. And the door is not perfectly shut, but it's shut enough that it's actually still usable. It's like it would in the oven, but and that was like absolutely like phenomenal. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, best turkey ever! It was so flavorful, so juicy, perfectly
Yeah.
cooked. Like and a single like turkey breast would fit in my air fryer. So I had two breasts, so I had one for each side. So it was
Oh,
absolutely like phenomenal. That's one to save for like Thanksgiving if you want the extra type, more
yeah.
white meat type thing here.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So before we wrap this thing up here, I want to just ask you about do you have any tips on maybe using leftovers in the air fryer or any way that you found that using the air fryer for things can help save some money or save some food? So anything you have in that regard?
Yeah, definitely reheating leftovers is like game changing with the air fryer. It's way better than microwaving and better. They turn out, as with everything, turns out better than in the oven too. I often, so the thing I do worry about or watch out for is that if something is already fully cooked, putting it back into the air fryer to fully reheat again can actually dry it out quite a bit. And so what I often do is I'll make, so say like a chicken breast or one of these sausages or like
Yeah,
something like that, leftover, something like a breaded chicken cutlet, even pizza. Actually, I will do this. I'll put it in the microwave at a low power, like defrost or 50%,
yeah,
until it's like warmed, like into the middle warm. And then it goes into the air fryer for the last bit to really like
yeah,
crisp up the outside without drying it out. So that I do it a lot and it makes a huge difference. And it delicious, hot and not dry, really good.
yeah. That can make a big difference too. And also for me, sometimes I've used I'll wrap something in foil first and put it in the air fryer that way. Like if we
Mhm.
have leftover like steak, because that does never reheats well in a microwave. So
Mhm.
I'll
Mhm.
end up wrapping the steak in there and just cooking it at a lower temperature in the air fryer just to kind of get it
Mhm.
heated up here. And then I always like I'm a big thermometer person, so I will pull my thermometers out for everything. And so I'll just check it there and say, okay, do I got it up to hot enough temperature so that it's warm enough to eat
Right.
again now. And that's all I'm trying to get to because it's already cooked. So
And then one of my, in terms of like protein, air fryer, money saving tips, I know you and I, before we started recording, we're talking about grocery stores.
yeah.
My favorite locally here, well, they're all over the place, but Aldi, I'm obsessed with Aldi.
Yep.
And they have these big bags of chicken leg quarters,
Mhm.
sometimes on sale. Like, you know what? I can't remember what the prices, but I feel like I'm spending $5 and getting chicken for a month. Like, it's just this
Yeah.
crazy, crazy thing. And those chicken leg quarters turn out so good in the air
Oh, that's
fryer.
good.
And I do them, they're big, so you would think you can't fit very many, but you could actually put them in there if you think about putting them in like books on a shelf.
Yeah.
So they're laying kind of, I'm doing, we're looking at each other on a video, nobody can see. But
I
they're
get what you're saying.
vertical
Yeah.
and you kind of lean them against the sides. You can fit as many as like 6 in there. So for like
That's amazing.
cheap, quick food prep, nice, juicy, dark chicken meat. If you're obsessed with chicken skin the way I am, obviously salmon skin, chicken skin, I love it all. You get that really nice too, but it's just like really inexpensive, delicious, easy chicken in the air fryer that turns out great. We all love it. Like, it's one of my favorite things.
That does sound good. Yeah, I definitely need to try something like that eventually. We're unfortunately currently in one of the few places in the whole country that has no Aldi. There is no Aldi at
Oh,
all in the whole state of Utah
that's
whatsoever.
crazy.
They're nearly in every state. There's a couple they're not in, and this is currently one of them. So I have not
Yeah.
been to Aldi very much, but we definitely did shop there and look for a lot of different air fryer meals there.
Yeah, no,
All
I
right,
love it. It doesn't have everything that I need all the time, but I'm there every few weeks getting, there's a bunch of things that are super
yeah,
cheap there that I stock up on when I go.
absolutely. All right, well, thank you for coming on today. Can you share with us where people can find you online if they're interested in your recipes or podcast?
Yeah, well, Eric, thank you so much for having me on. This has been really wonderful. Thank you to everybody for listening. Finding me online. So my sites are cookthestory.com and thecookful.com. I am Cook the Story in social media, everywhere that I'm in social media. So that would be, I guess, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, Cook the Story in those places. And then the podcast every day, recipe of the day. You can get to at cookthestory.com/ROTD or search for recipe of the day wherever you listen to podcasts and you will find it there.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. You definitely should listen to her podcast here. She has lots of great stuff and lots of great inspirations for you. So, again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To get the show notes from this episode, visit our blog at eatlikenoone.com and click on Podcast in the main menu. Or click the link provided on whatever platform you're listening on. Make sure to hit subscribe and join us next time for more Eat, Shop, Waste Not.